Good late morning, early afternoon, and welcome to the 17th edition of the Bronx Bomber Ball podcast. My name is Steven Erickson with Chad Rains. Going to use the gavel to bring us into session, my new Aaron Judge shirt. Before I pass it off to Chad, I just have to note the contrast between the circumstances under which we come into this podcast compared to our last. During our last podcast, the Yankees were apparently at the top of the world, clicking on all cylinders. And now it appears that they've hit rock bottom with these 5 consecutive West Coast losses, which we're going to delve into deeper during the process of the podcast. And on that note, I'll pass it off to Chad. Chad, how are you today?
Not too great, not so hot, honestly, because I haven't slept much. Because honestly, I've stayed up watching most of these West Coast games this week, which I probably shouldn't do, but I'm a college student who stays up late anyways. So I thought it was actually kind of nice. It gave me something to do like late at night instead of just playing with my thumbs or something and not doing anything at like 1 in the morning. But yeah, it's been a tough week for the Yankees. 4 straight games. The bullpen either blew a lead or blew the game. Sometimes it was tied and they gave up the go-ahead run, and sometimes the Yankees were winning and on the way to winning the game, and then blew the save, blew the game, blew the lead. And yeah, they've lost 5 in a row. Yesterday, they didn't have a chance to blow the lead. The bullpen didn't because Masahiro Tanaka was so bad again, and we'll get to that later. But we'll start with the bullpen. Or we'll just start with the first game. The first game of the West Coast trip, Yankees were in Anaheim, and they actually looked pretty good. They actually came from behind and won that game. And Tanaka actually had an encouraging start. He went 6 innings and gave up a run and struck out 8 batters. So like that was a good way to start the trip. And then it just all went downhill from there. Like I said, 4 straight bullpen losses. One game Shreve lost, one game I know obviously Gallegos lost. Herrera lost that one game in his major league debut, which he had no business being in the game anyways. And then Holder blew the game on Friday night. So what are your thoughts on this week so far?
Yeah, I mean, let me just preface what I'm going to say by stating that I didn't stay up to watch all these West Coast games because I'm on a bit of a different schedule than you. My internship requires me to be up at basically 6 a.m. every day, so there's no time for this. But it became commonplace for me to to go to bed with the Yankees in the lead and to get a notification that the bullpen blew the lead late in the game. And it's been extremely frustrating because with the exception of yesterday, as you said, with Tanaka continuing to be horrible, those are 4 games the Yankees really lose in that fashion to mediocre squads like the Los Angeles Angels and Oakland Athletics, both of which we've defeated at various points in the season. I believe we swept the Angels at Yankee Stadium. Am I correct?
I don't have we actually played this? We haven't played
I feel like we haven't played we played the Cardinals. I don't know why I was thinking the Angels.
Yeah.
But we're a better team than the Angels, and we took 2 out of 3 from the A's, lost that one game that I had went to where Tanaka seemed like he turned it around, pitched 7 innings. I think he struck out a career high 13, won the other 2 games in a real domineering fashion. The A's are not a very good baseball team. The Yankees are clearly superior to them. So to be on the verge of getting swept in 4 games by the Oakland A's is not where you want to be. And I believe, yes, you tweeted this from the BBB account yesterday. You were saying that these 5 games that we've lost on the West Coast, 4 of which we should have won, could be the difference in the AL East when it comes down to it. And this division appears like it's going to be pretty close between the Yankees and Red Sox, with the Orioles just in utter chaos right now. And if it's, a game, 2 games, 3 games that the Red Sox end up winning the division by, we need look no further than this stretch of games.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I mean, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. The Athletics have 30 wins this year, and 20 of them have been at home. They have a extremely good record at home. So like they're a great home team. They're horrible on the road, but definitely winnable games. I mean, you can make the argument that, well, you can obviously make the argument that the Yankees should have won the first 2 games yesterday. You can't really make that argument, but we could be looking at the Yankees taking 3 of 4 in Oakland, which would be a nice rebound from losing 2 of 3 in Anaheim. But that's not the case. Instead, the Yankees are going to try to avoid the sweep today, and they're going to send Luis Sessa to the mound for his first start. So things are not looking too good for the Yankees. And yeah, it's like I said on Twitter, I initially said the 4-game stretch where we blew 4 straight leads and easily could have been 4 wins is definitely could be the difference in the AL East. I mean, obviously the Red Sox are right behind the Yankees. They're a game back. And the whole division is pretty good, other than Baltimore is absolutely reeling right now. But like like you said, like this 4-game stretch could be very disastrous late in the season. I mean, I say it all the time. Games in June or April, May, June are the same weight as games in September. If you don't have a lead in the division in June, you can't really come back in September and vice versa. So these games are obviously incredibly important and very tough losses. I saw a stat the other day. It was before Herman had a good outing yesterday, which he looked great. But the bullpen had an ERA of like 7 over the past like 5 games and like 3 or 4 blown saves. So that was utterly unacceptable. And Tyler Clippard once again blew a game. He actually, I think he blew 2 games technically because he gave up that home run to Eric Young Jr., former Yankee legend who was pinch running for the Yankees in September last year, I think.
Yeah.
And then Clippard obviously got into some trouble. I guess it was Thursday night, maybe. I think it was Thursday night when Gallegos ended up blowing the save. And I kind of want to talk about that game actually because that was Friday night. The Yankees were, that was Thursday night. The first game of the Oakland series, the Yankees were winning. Actually, that was the back and forth game where the Yankees were losing. They would come back to tie it, and then the A's would take the lead. Yankees would tie it.
Where the Yankees lost 7-6.
They lost 8-7 and
8-7, correct? Yeah.
And I want to kind of talk about Girardi for a second. He said before the game that, all right, so Warren was hurt, so I'll excuse that one. But he said Warren, Shreve, and Holder were unavailable that night. He couldn't throw any of them, and that's 3 out of 7 bullpen arms that you can't throw in a game. I think that's unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, let me just pick up from where were you at before. Chad and I have this running joke, as you referenced before, about Joe Girardi and how games, these games in June and, May before that, they don't really matter. We only care about games in September, which is sort of the Girardi logic. And right now that just exemplifies Joe Girardi's line of thinking, where you're going to have Gallegos come into Gallegos has no business being in that game. There are just so many relief pitchers that should be given priority over him at that point, and Girardi just said none of them are available. That's just absurd. I understand resting players, giving a guy a day here and there, but in a close game like that, it's all hands on deck. And he just basically surrendered the game by inserting Gallegos. You had to know that was a loss. You had to know that was a loss coming as soon as he did that. So it's just extremely frustrating to lose games in this matter when it quite frankly, these have been avoidable defeats. You just look at his line of managing. I'm a very big Joe Girardi critic, probably more so than yourself. And, it's Joe Girardi's bullpen incompetence has finally reared its ugly head. I've went almost 2 months without criticizing Girardi this season. And, I guess it was almost inevitable. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I'm not a huge Girardi critic. I will give him credit. I think he always maximizes his talent. But my biggest criticism of him is that he manages the bullpen horribly. And this was a prime example of it. And honestly, the bullpen on that night, on Thursday night, everybody was horrible. Chad Green did not look good. Tyler Clippard, once again, looked horrible. Even Dellin didn't have his good stuff. He walked 2 guys and gave up a hit in 1 2/3 innings. And then, I mean, I'm not kidding. That was the most frustrating Yankee loss for me, obviously this season and probably last season too. And we had some bad losses last year. But just for the Yankees to they had 2 outs. They were 1 out away from winning with nobody on base. And then Gallegos surrenders a single, and then he surrenders a double that gets the winning run on second, the tying run on third. Then we intentionally walk Jed Lowry, and then he has 2 strikes on Chris Davis and kind of hangs a curveball, but it's so far in on Chris Davis' fist that all he can do is just punch it to center field. I thought that was just absolutely frustrating as hell. And Castro almost caught the ball. He did all he could do. And like I tweeted on the BBB account, I definitely would have liked to see Castro make that play, but I played a little bit of middle infield when I played, and I know how tough of a how tough of a play that is to go back on a ball like that and reach over your head. So definitely not an error, but tough loss, very tough loss, very demoralizing. And it's kind of continued spiraling into this weekend where we've lost 2 more bad games.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the bullpen right now, yesterday in some fun, I tweeted a picture of a bunch of garbage cans saying it was a picture of the bullpen over the weekend, which it really was, with the exception of Dellin Betances. I don't really trust anybody in there. We're getting Aroldis Chapman back today. He's scheduled to be activated if he hasn't been activated already. Am I correct in that, Chad?
It was definitely it was reported that he's being activated today. I haven't really seen anything about it, but I'm assuming.
So even if it hasn't happened yet, we're assuming that he's going to be back today. So that should help alleviate a lot of the pressure off of Dellin. We could, move Dellin back to the 8th inning role. But beyond the two of them, I really don't know who I trust. I still trust Adam Warren. I think he's done a phenomenal job this season. He's had a couple hiccups along the way, but I definitely trust him more than anybody else. As far as Holder, Shreve, Chad Green, Tyler Clippard, whoever else is involved in the Scranton shuttle with Giovanni Gallegos, I don't know who we could trust at this point in time. Yes, Domingo Germán was very encouraging yesterday to pitch for scoreless innings after Tanaka shit the bed yet again, excuse my language. But he'll probably be down soon because the Yankees won't be able to use him for a couple games, and he's of no use. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the one that gets optioned down for Chapman today.
Right, yeah, I agree. So I kind of want to talk about that Tanaka start. I was talking to my dad about it, actually. This is just it's unbelievable when you look at his line yesterday. He pitched 4 innings, gave up 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, and he struck out 10 batters. He also gave up 3 home runs. Steve, how do you strike out 10 batters in 4 innings but also give up 3 home runs?
I mean, it's really mind-boggling because if you're striking out 10 batters in 4 innings, you obviously have the stuff to get it done. There's something electric is happening with your stuff if you're capable of putting up those kind of numbers. But at the same time, to give up 3 home runs in 4 innings, and now he's tied for first in the league with Ricky Nolasco, 21 home runs given up this year. Masahiro Tanaka is a home run machine. Matter of fact, I want to see him pitching to Aaron Judge in the home run derby. Just do what you're normally doing. Can you imagine if he had to face Judge? Do you know what Judge would do to him?
I mean, it's unbelievable.
He gave up 2 home runs to Ryan, Ryon. I don't know why he spells his name that way. Healy. 2 home runs to him.
Good player, though. He's a good player.
Yeah. And then the first pitch of the game, I knew it was going bad. Pitch grooves it in there it was Matt Joyce.
Matt Joyce, yeah. You blink your eyes and it's a 1-0.
We're already down 1-0. So I mean, you've made this point as well. When you have a pitcher out there who's consistently putting you at a deficit, as soon as he takes the mound, you're automatically at a disadvantage, and there's only so much you could do right there. Because I personally pencil Tanaka starts now as automatic losses because there's really nothing you can do when you have a home run machine on the mound. And I hate to say it because of the contractual obligations that we have to Tanaka, and the Yankees organization obviously doesn't want to do this, but we need to look at other options, whether it be a fake DL stint, send him down to the minors to figure it out. It's hard. I'll give it to you in a second. I'm sorry, Chad.
Yeah, but
people will say, "Oh, but if not him, who else?" He, statistically speaking, after Bartolo Colon, he is the worst starting pitcher in the major leagues. Anybody is better than him right now. Literally anybody. So I mean, who? I mean, I could name them, but I'll pass it off to you. Who do you think that we should call up to replace Tanaka if it comes to that?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm going to talk about his home run woes real quick. He's given up 21 this year, and you said it's tied for the league lead. He only gave up 22 home runs last year, which, I mean, 22 home runs is a significant amount, but he gave up 22 home runs in 199 innings last year, almost 200 innings. He's pitched 76 this year, and he's given up 21 home runs. That's unbelievable. And like I said earlier, I mean, you blink, and the Yankees are down 1. And it's the first pitch of the game, and Matt Joyce takes him deep. And then he gives up another home run in the second inning, and it is mind-boggling how you can miss so many bats. He gets 10 strikeouts, but then his stuff is great when it's great, and then when it's not, it's just horrible. He's a home run derby pitcher. But yeah, I mean, one thing that's overlooked, and the Yankees are never going to do this because of the contract obligation, but he's got 3 minor league options left. He hasn't pitched in the minor leagues, so theoretically the Yankees could just send him down and not think twice about it. But I do think before they would do that, they would definitely have a fake DL stint and rehab him to the minors to kind of get some confidence. And I don't know when that's coming. I don't know if that's coming, but something's got to be done. I mean, like you said, he is the worst pitcher statistically other than Bartolo Colon. And there's plenty of options. I mean, we saw Domingo Germán yesterday look great. 4 innings, 4 scoreless innings, 6 strikeouts. He kind of walked a little bit. He walked 3 batters, so he's gonna have to clean that up a little bit. But I mean, you've got him, you've got Chad Green, who has been. I mean, I don't know. I obviously trust Tanaka more than I trust Chad Green, but at this point right now, I don't trust Tanaka at all. So like I almost trust anyone more than Tanaka. So yeah, I mean, you got Sessa, you got Chad Green, Domingo Herman, and obviously Chance Adams. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that would be a good move to me.
Yeah, I mean, this will be a good time to really segue into what's happening with the rotation right now. CC Sabathia, after his start against the Angels, he's been placed on the DL, so he'll probably be out. I think the estimates are 4 to 6 weeks, and we're likely to see. Well, Luis Sessa is starting today, so I guess if that goes well, we'll keep going with him. If not, they might juggle with some other options. So that sort of eliminates that option, because if the Yankees were to do something with Tanaka, which they have to do because you can't keep running out an automatic loss. I can't justify it. It's unjustifiable.
Yeah.
The Yankees are now already at a disadvantage with CC Sabathia, who I would say has been their second best pitcher this season after Luis Severino, because Sabathia, with the exception of, he had a couple bad starts after getting off to his hot start before riding the ship yet again.
Mm-hmm.
He's been consistent, Sabathia. He's been a stopper. He was, I think, 6-0 after Yankee defeats. He's filled in that Andy Pettitte role. Andy Pettitte was always the stopper for so many years, that reliable arm in the rotation. The Yankees are in the midst of a losing streak. They'd call on him and things would get better again, or at least in the short term. So what do you think is going to be the impact of Sabathia's injury on the Yankees and the rotation?
I mean, you said it. Sabathia's impact on the team has been huge this year. He's been the stopper. I saw that same stat. He was like 6-0 with the ERA under 2. Following a Yankee loss, which essentially is following a terrible Masahiro Tanaka start, because that's who he follows in the rotation. So yeah, I mean, this was an interesting question I heard somewhere. I saw it on Twitter or something. They were like, if the Yankees get in a situation hypothetically down the road where they're in a 1-game wild card, who do you give the ball to? Who starts that game? Because in my mind, you can make an argument for 3 pitchers, but to me, it's pretty clear who I would go to.
Yeah, I mean, I'll make the argument for the 3 pitchers. I think the 3 you were going to reference are Sabathia, Severino, and Pineda. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so with those 3 options, I guess I'll go over the pros and cons of the 3 of them, make my decision, and then you can do the same if you want.
Yeah, that's
Severino, I think, has the best stuff out of all of them and has the potential to be the most electric, but this is also his first full season being a starter in the rotation, so he's going to get the most innings in his career this season. Pineda, he's been much more consistent this year. I wouldn't trust him. I still don't trust him. But Sabathia, you have that veteran presence. CC has been there before. He's a championship pitcher. He's been great thus far this season. So I have to give the ball to Sabathia right there. What about you, Chad?
I pretty much agree with everything you just said. Severino, I definitely think, has the best stuff. I think Severino is the guy that could give you 7 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts. He could also give you 4 innings of 4-run ball and kind of give you a deficit. So I think, although Severino does have the most upside out of all of them, currently the most upside, I don't think they go to him just because he is a rookie. It's technically not a rookie anymore, but he is a young pitcher. I don't think he'd be ready for the moment. I don't think they would go to him. Michael Pineda has also, like you said, been much more consistent this year, but I don't think anyone trusts him enough to give him the ball in a high-pressure situation like that. So I think he's kind of out of the question. So I do think it would end up being between Severino and Sabathia at the end of the day. And to me, I'd give it to Sabathia because I think Sabathia is kind of a safe 5 to 6 inning guy, giving up 2 runs, 1 run, and keeping the team in the game. That's what he does every time almost, it seems like. And obviously that's far down the line. I mean, a lot could change, but I definitely think Sabathia would be the guy to go to in that game. And that's why his injury is so tough right now, because the Yankees are reeling. The bullpen's horrible, and the rotation is trying to make up for the horrible bullpen, and so it hurts to have an arm like him out. And they're going to replace him with Luis Sessa, which Sessa's been very inconsistent as a young pitcher, so that's going to be a big downgrade in the rotation.
It's just amazing. I think baseball is really one of the only sports like this, how you could see a team just change fortunes so drastically over the course of a week. If you look a week ago, the Yankees were on a winning streak, scoring, it seems, at least 7 runs a game. Judge was hitting a home run every day, getting quality starts out of all your starters with the exception of Tanaka. Bullpen was doing its job. And now I just feel like we're in a state of disarray. We're going to get into the injuries later, but it seems like we're running out a 4A lineup there and a bullpen that God knows what we're going to get out of it on a given night. So it's insane how your fortunes could change in baseball in the snap of a finger.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, the offense has not been that bad before the injury. Judge has still been hot; he's been on fire, and Castro has been hitting really well. Sanchez, before he got hurt, was on fire. He might have been the best hitter on the team. Actually, ironically, Chris Carter and Chase Headley have done their part on the West Coast trip. I listen to Bronx Pinstripes all the time. They always talk about how Chase Headley needs to go get his tan on and go out to the West Coast, lay on the beach, and then get back into a groove. And it actually worked this week. He's had a good trip, honestly, and so is Chris Carter. And other than yesterday, I think the offense was pretty good this week. They just didn't get helped out by the pitching, the bullpen. But the injuries are a big part of that, and that's where we're going to segue into the injuries right now. Aaron Hicks went down with an Achilles injury. And hopefully it's not that serious. I haven't seen the lineup today. I don't think it's out yet, but I don't know if he'll be in the lineup today. And Gary Sanchez actually pinch hit yesterday, which was a good sign for sure, because that means I would assume he's going to start today.
Yeah, I would hope he's going to start because our other option would be Higgy. I know Romine probably won't play because he's played a couple days in a row. And Girardi likes to give his catchers rest. Our other option would be Higgy Ashoka. I don't know if I said it right, but he's god-awful. Couldn't even collect his first major league hit while Sanchez was on the DL for basically the first month of the season, which I don't want to see much of him. I'm hoping Gary could play today, though.
Yeah, Higashioka actually had a very good spring training. We thought he might win the backup job over Romine, but I think he's been under an insane amount of pressure since he came up and hasn't got his first hit yet. But I think, Gary's going to be probably going to play today. I'm assuming just because he pinch hit yesterday, he should be good. And that's encouraging. The injury didn't look that bad in real time. He kind of slid into second base and it was almost like he slid into second base. Everything was fine. And then next thing you know, he's walking off the field with an injury. I was kind of confused. I was like, what the hell? Like what's going on? And then Hicks was kind of the same deal. He said he was taking swings in the on deck circle and felt his Achilles like tighten up, and they took him out of the game. And he's obviously been a very useful bat for the Yankees throughout the entire season. So we got to get him back. But I will say Mason Williams has actually done his job these past two games. I think he's got 2 hits, and obviously we know Mason Williams is going to play some great defense. So I have no complaints there. And,
so let me ask you a question, Chad.
Go ahead.
Are you good? Let me ask you a question. This isn't really on our agenda, but given the injuries and Tyler Austin being healthy again, why is he not here? Considering, yes, Carter has been better of late, but it would be nice to have a competent backup for him, a guy who could play both corner outfield positions besides going to Ref Snyder, who isn't a natural outfielder. It's mind-boggling to me. I'm trying to figure it out. Why isn't Tyler Austin in the major leagues?
I was going to say I would definitely prefer to have Tyler Austin in the major leagues over Rob Ref Snyder. I think if you asked me that question 2 years ago, I would have said Rob Ref Snyder is our savior just because Stephen Drew was just god-awful. But I think now Tyler Austin is getting the Rob Refsteiner treatment just because they're just placing him in the minor leagues kind of for no reason, even though I think he's a better option than what we have at the major league level. I looked at his numbers the other day. I'm going to look at him now. Yeah, he is absolutely killing it in AAA. He's hitting .330, on base percentage .402, slugging .549, .951 OPS. He's got a home run, 10 RBIs, 11 doubles, 3 triples in 25 games. So he's doing all he can do to get back to the major leagues. And this was a guy who in spring training, when he was competing with Bird multiple times, said that there was no way he was going out of there without the starting first baseman job. And unfortunately, he got hurt, and that kind of derailed his pursuit of that, so to speak. So I don't know. I don't know why he's in AAA. I think the Yankees need to call him up as soon as possible. And I think they will at some point. I mean, they're not going to call him up for Carter. Carter's going to be on the major league team at least until Bird's back. And obviously Bird has had a setback in his rehab. They completely shut him down, which is just very discouraging for the Yankees. But yeah, I mean, I definitely take Tyler Austin over Rob Refsnyder. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I was with you as well 2 years ago when we were stuck with Stephen Drew. Rob Refsnyder was supposedly the savior that was just being completely put down by the Yankees in favor of a player who was completely awful. And the hashtag "Give Rob the Job" that was always fun. It's just amazing that Tyler Austin isn't on the roster when he's better than our starting first baseman. Sorry, he's better than Rob Refsnyder. He would give us versatility. He'd back up Carter, probably platoon with him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He could play both corner outfield positions competently. He could even play a little bit of third base. So I just don't understand why the Yankees haven't went to him, especially, well, offense hasn't really been the problem, but with the recent injuries, I would think his call up would be a no-brainer. But speaking of injuries, we have to go to Greg Bird now. Greg Bird is healthy. He struggled tremendously during his minor league stint, and now the Yankees have completely pulled the plug on that for the time being, and we have more uncertainty around Greg Bird. He's sort of picking up on the Yankees first base injury curse that we witnessed with Mark Teixeira for a couple of years. Chad, do you have any updates on Bird?
Yeah, he said he hurt his knee at a right knee contusion on last Thursday, and after that, I mean, he has been struggling. I'll pull up his numbers in a second. I'll pull them up as I speak. But yeah, he hurt his knee, and so just because he was struggling, the Yankees completely quote pulled the plug on his rehab. And so for now, I mean, he's not doing anything. I don't even know where he is right now. I don't know if he's hanging out in Scranton. I don't know if he's coming back to New York to hang out, because when he was on the disabled list, he was just hanging out on the bench in New York. So I mean, I guess he's in Scranton right now, but yeah, in the minor leagues this year, he's hitting .237. He actually has a nice on-base percentage of .420, but his slugging was just .342, which is not good at all. He only hit 4 doubles, no triples, no home runs, and that was in 12 games so far. So, I mean, you kind of said it. Teixeira couldn't stay healthy, and Greg Bird is kind of falling into that very quickly because obviously he missed all of last season with his shoulder injury. And I feel like these injuries are kind of tough luck. You know, I mean, you can't. It's kind of unfair to say like, oh, this player gets hurt all the time, because obviously, you know, he's not trying to get hurt. But I definitely think he has a lot of bad luck so far early in his career.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate because he absolutely raked in spring training. People were thinking that it was going to be him, not Judge, who was going to break out. I actually listened to a pretty funny recording of Mike Francesa. He was speaking during spring training, and he said that this was going to be Bird's breakout year, you know, 30 home run, 100 RBI guy. He said Judge wasn't even going to make the major league roster. And it was I listened to this about a week ago. It was really funny how the two players have just went on completely opposite trajectories as the season has progressed. But, you know, I still view I'm not giving up on Greg Bird. I still view him as, you know, integral to the Yankees' future moving forward. I still think he's going to be the first baseman for years to come. Hopefully we'll get him back at some point this season, and he could pick up where he left off in 2015 when he was replacing the injured Teixeira, and he really shined for us, hitting, I believe, 11 home runs in his short stint in the majors, some of which were very big hits that carried the Yankees to the wild card game. It's just very unfortunate.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm not giving up on Greg Bird at all, but he has looked like he's looked awful so far, and I hope he can get back. I think he can, and I just don't know when that'll be. It could be a month from now. It could be 2 months from now. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that either right now. We have Chris Carter, who seems like we'll be stuck with him for a while. So hopefully we can get Tyler Austin up here soon and start platooning the two.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that completely. I forgot what I was going to say.
I think you sort of went out for a minute or a couple seconds. I lost.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties there. Oh yeah. Okay, so another uncertainty with injuries is Jacoby Ellsbury. It had been reported like 2 weeks ago that his concussion symptoms were basically gone, and then all of a sudden he woke up one day and they were back. Which concussions are very weird like that. I mean, and I think there's no more serious injury than a concussion injury. We've seen how not only that can impact a player's career, that can impact their life. So I do agree with the Yankees, you know, expressing extreme caution with a concussion. But I mean, I haven't gotten any update on Ellsbury in a while, and I thought he would have been back in about a week or two. Like, if you asked me last week.
Yeah, I mean, I went out of my way. I think it was a week or two. I wrote this very in-depth analysis of the Yankees' outfield situation, who should be benched when Ellsbury came back, because that was when Hicks got really hot. And I was saying that Ellsbury should be relegated to bench duty in favor of Hicks, who is playing like a starter and arguably an all-star in my opinion. So it's just very frustrating. It was frustrating for me to write that and then realize that it was sort of for no reason, or I didn't need to write it at the point, but I woke up and I rushed writing it. But whatever. But getting back to Ellsbury, it's really a mystery because we haven't heard much about him. There hasn't been a focus on when he's coming back. Maybe that's because Hicks filled the void and nobody really missed him. But with Hicks going down, it would be nice to have Ellsbury to insert into the lineup as opposed to Rob Refsnyder and Mason Williams. Hopefully we get Ellsbury back soon because he was playing quite well before he got hurt. Definitely the best he's played as a Yankee. It's just he hasn't been playing as good as the other Yankees outfielders who have been absolutely raking.
Yeah, I actually wrote something on Ellsbury. Speaking of writing things a little bit too early, I wrote something on him like 2 weeks ago saying he was going to come back on whatever day, and I haven't published that yet because we don't know when he's coming back. So that's just
I was wondering why that was in the drafts. I was like, when's he going to publish that?
That's been sitting in the drafts for about a week and a half. One more injury we're going to talk about, and then we're going to wrap this up. We are at about 30 minutes in. We forgot to touch on this earlier, but Gleyber Torres, top prospect, left last night's game in Scranton with a hyperextended left elbow. Steven, I don't know if you saw it, but I published an article on it today with the video embedded. It looked like an awkward slide to me. I honestly couldn't tell if he slid feet first or head first, and immediately came up grabbing his left arm. And this is unfortunate for him because he's really hitting his stride in AAA. I think, again, it's been a drastic turnaround for Torres. I think 2 weeks ago people were like, "Oh, he's only hitting 205 right now," and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" He's played in AAA for like a week, and as he's got more time, he's now hitting 309 with 2 home runs, 4 doubles, and 16 RBIs in 23 games, and only further putting pressure on Chase Headley, who has definitely been feeling the heat and has been actually performing lately. But I don't know. They said it was a hyperextended left elbow for Torres. The X-rays were negative, which is good. I think he'll probably undergo further tests, but hopefully this is kind of like an Aaron Hicks, Gary Sanchez injury where he's just out for a couple days and then comes back.
Yeah, I mean, I checked out what you posted really quick before we started podcasting, so I saw the slide. What I had heard is that the slide was head first, so I immediately thought of how Trout went down, and he's out for a while now because he slid into second base head first, and hopefully Gleyber doesn't see that happen to him as well, which again emphasizes that players should not be sliding head first. They should go in feet first because it's just much safer and will avoid injuries like this. Yeah, but like you said, I hope we're looking at shut down for a couple days, maybe a week max, just to be extra cautious, and we'll see Torres continue to rake in AAA. I still don't think that we'll see him in the majors until September just because of the Chase Headley contract situation, and the Yankees seem to be a team to their detriment at times that is just overly loyal to veteran players who they owe money to, except Alex Rodriguez. Except him.
Yeah, he's a different case.
Yeah. So hopefully we're just looking at something minor here, and we'll continue to see his development, and he'll be in the Bronx soon.
I actually do think we'll see Gleyber Torres before September. I think we'll see him in August if I were to predict, but we'll see. I mean, I think it is all contingent on how Chase Headley, if he can continue staying hot at the big league level, because he struggled mightily for about 2 months, and now maybe he's heating back up. I mean, Chase Headley is Chase Headley. I don't think you're getting any more than 240, 250 with 10 home runs out of him this year, and that's just not going to get the job done. I think Torres can hit better than 240 at 20 years old. So I think if Cashman thinks that, he will call up Torres, and obviously we got to get him back healthy before that happens.
Yeah, so I guess that'll be a touch and go situation. Do you have any general BBB administrative things that you like to touch on?
Not really at the moment. I'm working on a couple of things behind the scenes, but I'm going to keep those behind closed doors until I get more information or develop them more. So until then, we're going to keep the curtain closed. I don't really have anything else to say. I hope the Yankees can win today, and then thank God they're going back home on Tuesday. They have Monday, and they need Monday off because they played for like 3 weeks in a row, and they have Monday off, and they finally go back home for about a week. And that couldn't have come at a better time because they need to wear the pinstripes again.
Yeah, getting back to the friendly confines of the Bronx will definitely do this team much good. Hopefully they could pick up the win today, avoid being swept by the Athletics in 4 games, not just 3-game sweep, but 4-game sweep. That'll be big to at least go home with some confidence, go home in first place, albeit if it's only by a game.
Right.
The Red Sox are playing Houston, so their chances of winning aren't really too good right now. So as long as the Yankees win this game, I'll feel pretty confident about them as they begin the next homestand.
Right.
But on that note, I'd like to dismiss this 17th edition of the Bronx Bomber Ball podcast with my Aaron Judge gavel. Not Aaron Judge, United States Supreme Court, but close enough. And go Yankees.
Go Yanks. Is it off?
Yeah, stay on for a second, though.